if you have more reviews and you have recent reviews, it's going to make that customer feel confident about moving forward with you. Whereas if you have a negative review average, I really believe the negative review average would hurt all of the marketing, because it's all going to lead to somebody like, well, how do I get in touch with these people? What was their business name? And they Google you, even a word of mouth. They're going to see those reviews.
Hello, welcome to Outer Spaces, a podcast dedicated to empowering landscapers, hardscapers, and outdoor living professionals. I'm Joshua Gillow. My mission through this show is to create a powerful resource for you, someone who is striving to grow their company well past the $1 million line, but might not have all the tools and processes to do so. Here in Outer Spaces, we are passionate about breaking the chains of small mindsets and helping contractors just like you take control of their businesses and their lives. With nearly 3 decades of experience designing, selling, and building six-figure outdoor living spaces, I've made all the mistakes. Starting with $0 in my pocket, and through the grace of God and a ton of hard work, I now own multiple businesses that afford me the time with my family and the lifestyle I've always dreamed of. So join me as I share what I've learned along my journey, strategies, and other contractor success stories right here on the Outer Spaces podcast. Now, let's get on with the show. Hello, welcome back to the Outer Spaces podcast. This is your host, Joshua Gillow. We're going to do something a little different here in Outer Spaces. For the next 4 weeks, we're going to focus deeply on marketing. Marketing for landscapers, hardscapers, and outdoor living professionals. We know how hard it is for some companies to get proper marketing in place and to get good, solid, high-quality leads coming in the door. We're going to solve that problem for you over the next 4 weeks. This week, we're going to focus on the top 3 marketing strategies that are going to help you crush it in 2024, followed by SEO. Is it worth it? And what should I do to my website in order to get it top of the rank when it comes to Google searches? And then also, should I be investing in Facebook ads? And if so, how much? Or should I be redirecting that money somewhere else to get better results? Followed by how to close 25% more leads without spending $1. So I'd love for you to join us on this journey. Jack Jostes from Rambli and Jackson has joined me to go deep into so many different ways. He adds so much value and gives you so many gold nuggets throughout these different sessions that you're going to be sitting back with your hair blown back, because I'm telling you, there's so many things you could implement today that aren't going to cost you a ton of money that can make a big difference. So guys, enjoy the journey and see you on the other side. Hey, Jack, I'm so excited to have you back here on the show. And man, we've got some big questions today around marketing. So thank you for coming back on.
Yeah, Joshua, good to be here again. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So what I want to jump into today, we're going to cut right through the small talk and get right to it. I know it's April 2024, and some companies out there absolutely crushing it, and other ones are struggling, right? Trying to get leads, trying to get themselves found, trying to get an opportunity to even go out and sell and to help and to serve. So I'd love for you to unpack the top 3 marketing strategies that you see from your practice out there in 2024. What's working, what's not? What are you guiding your marketing clients to do this year in order to get the connection they need with their clients in order to get that sale and move forward?
Yeah, well, yeah, thanks for having me. And is this coming out in April or May, or when is this coming out?
Yeah, this will be coming out here in the month of April at the latest, early May.
Well, so to me, the reason I asked is the timing and the seasonality plays into this, because my number one strategy that's working for my clients is SEO, search engine optimization. The problem is that you may have missed the boat if you haven't been doing SEO well. There's never really a bad time to start doing it, but if listeners are trying to get something that's going to get them results this season right away, you should just know that SEO, often it takes time to do SEO, and it takes time for SEO to take root, meaning like maybe we do the work and then we start ranking months, or depending on how competitive your market is, it could be longer. So the people who have implemented SEO in the past and have been doing the slow and steady wins, they're winning the race right now. But that may not help people if they're hurting now. So in the SEO category, though, something that you can do right now that I would recommend is to get fresh Google reviews. What I'm seeing right now in 2024 is that review recency on Google. So how recently was a new review published on your Google business profile is a ranking factor. And it also impacts all of the other marketing that we're going to talk about, because when people Google you, if you have more reviews and you have recent reviews, it's going to make that customer feel confident about moving forward with you. Whereas if you have a negative review average, I really believe the negative review average would hurt all of the marketing, because it's all going to lead to somebody like, well, how do I get in touch with these people? What was their business name? And they Google you, even a word of mouth, they're going to see those reviews. So that would be my tactic for you, if you will, for listeners, would be to go to your Google business profile and click on the button that says reviews from your computer, and you'll have this big ugly URL at the top of your browser. That ugly link is like a steroid shot to leave you a review. And if you email people out that link and embed in your little email, click here to write a Google review, or maybe you put it in the email signature, leave us feedback on Google. Those are some things that you can proactively do to get those reviews now, and they'll have a lasting benefit and also an immediate benefit.
No, I love that. And Jack, what I love about having you on the show is I know that you serve only the landscaping industry, right? All your clients are, you serve marketing for them. So you get this industry specifically. So if I was a contractor out there thinking like, yeah, okay, Jack, this is amazing. We have this idea that we can get reviews. My customers won't give me reviews. Like, I do a great job. They're always very happy. They're high fives at the end, and it's everything's great. But I can't get them to give us a review. Do you have any tricks for us? Or not tricks, is not the right word. Any strategies? I don't want tricks.
Yeah.
Any strategies that would help get the client to leave that review? And why do you think people don't leave reviews even though they're satisfied with the work?
Well, what works for me personally is the same thing that I recommend to my clients, which is to get a verbal agreement from people that at some point I'm going to ask you for feedback. And will you do that for me? When I ask you for online feedback, will you give it to me? And so I use a software called Rambli Reviews, what we use here, and it collects first-party reviews. So first, it's a survey of, on a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend us to a friend? Mm-hmm. And then on the thank you page, there's a link to the Google listing. I build it into my system, and I incentivize my employees. It's the part of the written criteria for their bonus when the project finishes is that we got an 8, 9, or a 10 from that client. So I'm incentivizing a couple things. One is a really good client experience, but two, actually asking for the feedback. And then that system results in the online review. So now if you don't have a system like that, that's okay. The part that you still could take away, and my question partly for you, Joshua, is how does this complement the design build process that you're engineering for people? Where I see it is somewhere along the way, there's like, hey, Mrs. Jones, we're so thrilled that you've hired Jack's Outdoor Living. We really value your input. And at X milestone, we're going to send you an email with requesting feedback. And I want to let you know, I personally read that, and I actually will listen to it and follow through on it. Would you do me a favor and fill that out when I send it? And if you ask somebody like that sincerely, and will you do this for me, they're going to be like 100 times more likely to do it. And then maybe it's several months from now, we come back to Mrs. Jones and say, hey, Mrs. Jones, as a reminder, a few months ago, I said, we value feedback, and we're going to be sending that. I'm going to be sending that to you later this week. Would you do me a favor and just fill that out for me? So now we're getting an agreement from someone, we're reminding them, and then we're sending it in a way that's easy, like I said, for them to click and write it.
That's perfect. Now, the document, that 1 to 10 scale document, is that like a single, like a Google form, or is it like, what is that first to kind of test the water with them?
Well, so there's a variety of different softwares to do it. So it's called Net Promoter Score, and it's a score of 0 to 10. How likely are you to recommend us to a friend? The actual technical part of how you do it, yeah, it could be a simple Google form. It could be a form that you build on your website. The one that I use, Rambli Reviews, automatically displays that score on your website, and it also pulls in the reviews from all the other websites. So It's really a review software.
Okay.
But I like it because I have a number of clients who do maintenance, and I was kind of not joking, but I don't know. In my experience, a lot of maintenance people dream of doing design build, and then at some point, design build people, some of them dream of doing maintenance. I think the grass is kind of always greener between those people.
Yep.
But I have a client who's primarily maintenance focused that's developed a really strong installation and construction department, and she sent out the how likely are you to recommend. She got a 6, and she did what I recommend to do, which is you pick up the phone and you call your customer and say, hey, I noticed you gave us a 6 out of 10. Tell me more. What's going on? And there was a big problem. So she went out there, met with the client, and they were so impressed that she listened to them and took care of them that they said, by the way, we own a second property, and it ended up being like a $150,000 construction project on their second home. And they said, because you listened to us and actually took care of us, we trust you. So that's why I'm an advocate of, I actually put the Google review as a byproduct of this customer feedback process. It's like a bonus to me. Yeah, it's a focus and it's one of my key tips, but I think it comes as a result of delivering an exceptional experience, and also the agreement, the asking for it from the client.
No, I love that. And you're right. You're setting expectations. We talk about that all the time in sales, as you set expectations. If you can set an expectation of A and deliver A, you should get a result that's predictable, right? It's a pretty simple linear strategy.
Yeah.
So now it's a matter of you being in the middle. Actually, that's a question for you. So where in the process, in the sales process, are you getting that first test, that first feedback from the client where you just mentioned where they got a 6? Like what part is that? During construction, during design, after construction? Like where does it fit?
Well, so what I recommend to my clients is actually what I do at Rambli Jackson. So at Rambli Jackson, we design and build websites. We design sales process and branding and SEO, and that's typically a 4 to 6 month project. And so at our company, we send it at the midway point. We have figured out the midway point, and we let them know, hey, we're going to ask for feedback at the mid, and then we're going to ask for feedback at the launch, and then we're going to ask for it quarterly. And I let them know that this is one of the ways that I read these and share them with the whole company, and it's how we serve you. So they're like, oh, cool. So they kind of already know that we're going to do this and that it's not going to take that long. So for an outdoor living company, maybe they have a 3-month project or a 6-month project or longer. I think doing it midway is very valuable, because maybe they're upset about something.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't know that they're upset about something. I don't love getting a 6 out of 10, but I love knowing when I'm a 6 out of 10. I'd rather know that I'm a 6 out of 10 and call somebody and talk through it than have a 6 out of 10 telling their neighbors that, oh, it's not really going that well. Right.
Yeah.
So I would do it there, and then I would do it at the launch, maybe after the final walkthrough. Hey, by the way, we hope that you're really happy with everything, and we would appreciate it if you'd fill out our end of project survey. It's really short, and if you feel inclined, leave a review on Google for other people. And in any case, I'm going to read your feedback.
I love it.
Yeah, and so that's the most thorough way of doing it. And if you're an owner listening and you're not the one selling or managing the client, then there's getting the employees involved.
Yeah.
And I've seen things, so we can't pay customers to write Google reviews, but we could pay employees every time a Google review mentions their name, right? So that would be compliant with the rules. And I can earn $100 per review, or maybe it's worth more than that to you. Maybe you only do 10 projects a year. Yeah. I'm going to have to work really hard to get reviews. I might pay more in that case. Whereas my maintenance companies, they might get dozens of reviews a year.
Yeah. No, I love
So
that strategy.
one other thing, Joshua, you asked why wouldn't people write a review?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things to know is that the last time I looked, roughly 33% of internet users use Gmail, right? So in order to write a Google review, you need to have a Google account or most likely a Gmail account.
Right.
So it's possible that you have I have the professional version of the G Suite and I can write it through there. But that's a reason. So if you think about it, over 60% of your customers might not even have a Gmail account. And depending on their age, that number goes up. Like if they're over 60, the percentage of people who have a Gmail goes down. So that's why it's hard to get them. And why that's another reason why I like getting the Net Promoter Score using a software that it doesn't require that you have an account or anything. You just click a button and leave your name, and it's easy.
Got it. Yeah, exactly. Because if only 33% of people have a Gmail account, the likelihood of them signing up just to give you a review is slim.
Right. So one opportunity there is to search in your database for Gmail. Search in your list of customers, and depending on how many you have, it might not be that many. You could probably just, and maybe you give a little extra effort to those Gmail users to get the Google review.
That's great. It's great advice for sure. I know that, for us, we found the same thing, doing outdoor living design and manage. And, we were finding that by the end of the project, you're doing your final walkthrough and you find out the client wasn't happy from like the middle of the project, but they never told you about it, or they had a problem or whatever it was. And then at the end, you're finding out you can't do much about it. You can't fix this really well at this point. It's too late. So we started instituting about mid-project, where we actually go out and do a sit down with a client and ask them 5 questions. Basically, what are you loving about what's going on? What could we work on? What else do we need to be doing to serve you at a higher level? Like all of that. And we have somebody go out and actually have that conversation face to face. So very similar to what you're talking about. Let's get feedback middle of the project. Let's not wait till the end and then find out that they're furious about something that happened on week 2 and they just didn't tell you because they didn't like confrontation, right? So to do that, to send out a form or to meet with them, is going to help you track and serve them at a higher level. So that's really awesome.
So I'm curious, how do you prepare your clients for that? Do you send them something ahead of time so they know, or do you give them the option to reply in writing?
We just say, hey, we're going to be stopping out. We'd love to just touch base on the project. And then Becky actually goes out and she's been working with them back and forth via email and phone calls and all that throughout the project. And so she actually goes out and sits down with them. And most of the time it's both people. Sometimes it's one. And we take a little gift as a thank you for, choosing to work with us and that we're here to serve and all that kind of stuff. And just kind of check in with them. Just do a pulse, testing the pulse. That's it. And we've gotten incredibly good feedback from that. And we get to get a sense of like, hey, if something's not working, let's talk about it now and fix it while we still can, instead of waiting till the end and being like, crap, we're going to get a 3-star review because we didn't ever ask the questions, where now we have a chance to shift that 3-star maybe in their heart to a 5-star by the end. We can adjust the boat. We at least can turn it.
Yeah. I think that's really smart, because your vehicles are probably in front of their house. Their neighbors are probably seeing it.
Yep.
And they're going to ask, oh, I see you're working on, I just went through a pretty big project, and my neighbors asked me all the time, what are you doing? How is it going? Yeah. That kind of thing. So, I like the midway check-in, whether it's a survey or an in-person meeting or even a phone call. I think it's very valuable.
Very valuable. And since our most precious asset is our time, the more time you can give your client, the more that you are bought into the project, and the higher probability that they're going to write you a review, because you've shown that you're willing to share your most valuable asset. So there's a higher probability in that. But anyway, I love it. I'd love to speak tons on that. We're going to talk a whole nother episode on SEO and strategy and all of that coming up here next week. But I wanted to touch on that today as one of the top 3. So Jack, what else do we got? What are the next 2 marketing strategies that we can put in place this year in 2024 to start crushing it?
My number 2 marketing tip is reactivating lost leads. So this is going back into your pipeline of who did you already meet with, who already maybe got a design, maybe who or who didn't buy a design that you met with. And a simple email that I learned, the marketer that I learned it from is Dean Jackson. It's called the spear email, short, personal, expecting a reply. And this could be very simple. It could be, Joshua, did you ever end up getting your patio built? Or whatever it was. So it's a very short email, and sending that out to people can reactivate them. Depending on how much time you have, you could call those people. You could send them a note in the mail. I just see that there are so many things that happen that can cause a legitimate customer to kind of fall off the radar. Maybe they had a death in the family. Maybe they got sick. Maybe they got married. Maybe, life happened or whatever. And months later, it can be very valuable to follow up again. I personally do this quarterly. We look for, okay, well, who did we meet with? Or maybe who scheduled a meeting and didn't show up?
Yeah.
A quick email. Hey, Bob, we had a call scheduled that we didn't end up making. Does it make sense for us to talk again? Little emails, little personal emails like that can reactivate people. And if you, depending on what CRM you're using and how dialed in your pipeline software is, you could automate a fair amount of this. But what I found works best is a personal email that's specific to like where we left off.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Now, do you prefer an email for that touch, or does a text work, or what are your thoughts on the best vehicle to use?
I think if you were on a text message basis with a client, I think it could go really well. Yeah. I think that texting can be pretty personal. So if I'm getting a text from you and we haven't texted before and it's been 3 or 4 months, I don't know that I want that text. But if we were already texting, I would probably welcome it. I'm a little more cautious around texting than some marketers. Some marketers are like all about it. I'm a little more like my own personal. It's partly just my personal biases. I get texts from my mom, my wife, a few of my best friends. Like if something urgent with one of my employees, and that's all I really want. I don't want to be texting with anyone else.
Got it. I guess it's a preference, right? So if you're a client and you are texting back and forth, then it makes sense to use that vehicle. But if email's been your vehicle, then use that, whatever works for that client.
Yeah, I think, thinking, and sometimes people learn their customer communication preferences. And if it's text, then by all means go for it. I've just found the email works well for me.
Perfect. No, I love that. Thank you for that. So what is number 3?
The third marketing tactic that's working well in spring 2024 is Instagram and Facebook. Okay. And I link them together because you can link them together. And the fact is that everyone listening, unless you're listening to this for some random reason, you build cool stuff, you design cool stuff, it looks cool. And so Facebook and Instagram is a very visual social network. Posting photos of finished projects, posting behind the scenes, posting little videos of, hey, we're doing a walkthrough of this project that we installed. Like I just saw one of my clients informal, iPhone video, and they're walking through a property that they built 3 years ago, and now the plants are really thriving. So those kinds of things I think are really good, because maybe someone isn't quite ready to buy now, but they start following you on social media and they're seeing little updates along the way of projects that you're working on. It can go a long way. The other reason I mentioned Facebook is because Facebook groups are still very active. Many neighborhoods have a Facebook group, and this is another place you want to focus on getting reviews, because if somebody says, hey, who do you know who does landscaping, or who do you know who does patios, or who do you know who does whatever, if you've done a good job, your clients are going to say, oh, you need to talk to, Jack's Outdoor Living, and they might tag your Facebook page, and now, boom, now I'm checking out negative reviews on Facebook or positive reviews on Facebook, right? Current recent reviews or no reviews. So this is absolutely a social network that I believe is worth investing resources into.
I love it. And you're right, because when it comes down to it, it's all about getting the attention of the buyer, right? And starting to drop the ideas of what you do in their face where they get to see it. And social media, everybody's on it, right? So the reality is they're going to get a chance to get at least a taste of what you're doing. And, the big difference between, I don't want to get too deep into this yet. This will be another segment for another day, but the difference between when people come to Google and they're searching for something exact versus someone who's just scrolling, eating Cheetos, watching Netflix, scrolling through their phone, and they see a cool backyard, that there's a difference in where they are in their buying cycle, right?
Right.
So that's the one thing you got to be aware of. I'd love for you to talk for a minute on that one.
Well, I think that's a really good point, is that when people are ready to start searching for a contractor or for a company, they're a bit further down the funnel in a decision-making factor. Whereas, if I'm on my couch laying down scrolling Instagram, I'm probably not in as much of an active research or decision mode.
Yeah.
And that's why I prioritized it last.
Yeah.
But I do think that it is valuable and I know clients who are getting results from it.
Yep.
But if I had to prioritize them, it would be in the order that I gave them. It would be, SEO and reviews, reactivating lost leads, and then social media third.
I love that. Well, Jack, I'd like to wrap up here. How can people find you if they love what they're hearing? I know you can help them with all this stuff. So how do they find you?
Well, I've written a book that will help you figure out which order to go in. Is it social media? Is it online advertising? Is it branding or SEO and website? The answer depends on where you're at. So I've written a book, The Tree of Good Fortune, and I can send it to the audience for free. All you have to do is pay for shipping. It's at treeofgoodfortune.com, and we'll ship that book out to you. And then we do offer, just a 15-minute conversation. If you want to just talk with somebody about your marketing and figure out where to go next, check out ramblinjackson.com. And you can contact us there.
Awesome. Well, Jack, I appreciate your information. And listeners out there, this is a step one in a process that we're going through. What we're going to do is next week, we're going to talk about SEO, going deep into SEO. That first thing that he mentioned, is it worth it? How do you do it? It sounds like it's a place, it's like a big black hole. You can throw a lot of money. Do you even know if you're doing it right? How do you find somebody? All of those things. We're going to go deep into that next week. So guys, thanks for listening and hope to see you then.